I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our featured guest today, Dave Conord. For those of you guys that don't know Dave, he is, oh my God, not only just a legend in the business in general, but just an overall amazing person. He's honestly like accomplished so much like in one lifetime, and I'm just always kind of in awe of him. And I've had the privilege of actually working side by side with him over the past couple of months, and I know that he's going to be able to really share some information to help all of us take our business up to the next level. So without further ado, Dave,
Well,
I'm
hello
gonna leave.
there. How you doing? Yeah,
How's everybody?
Doing great.
good. Good to see everybody. Great to hang out with you. And thanks for spending some time with us today. Glad to be able to be here and hang out. Marissa, do you have we have a couple of things I know we can talk about, but do you have anything particular you want to make sure that I dig into for this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we talked a little bit about was how to really scale your business by leveraging some of the things and the events and the tools that we have available. So if you could talk a little bit about that, that would be fantastic. And I know I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot as well. We've been also discussing the art of the three-way call and how to make
Okay.
that super relevant for people. Just we've got a myriad of different experience levels here on this call. Folks that have been with us for a while, folks that are just really just kind of getting their feet wet into this attraction business. And so
Hmm.
if you could kind of appeal to the masses with what you're covering, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Yeah, and fortunately, I love, recruiting, agent attraction, whatever you want to call it. Um, and it's something that I have been involved with for, gosh, it's been almost 25 years. So I've had a chance to do that for a while. And we're all new at it at some point. And to be honest, every time I had a different opportunity, I mean, you're always recruiting to the opportunity, right? And so if there's an opportunity there and you feel like people can benefit from it, you want to share it with other people and learning how to share that particular opportunity. And it's different for everybody, right? So they're a different kind of opportunity. When I came to I came to EXP in 2018, and it was a different beast. It was a whole different opportunity than other opportunities I had been a part of. So while, I had, I've made over 60,000 cold calls, right, for recruiting. So I made tons and tons of cold calls. But the cold calls didn't get people to, join business where I was. It was the face-to-face meetings that came out of those calls, right? So I had to learn how to get a hold of people. I had to learn how to have that initial conversation so they wouldn't hang up on me, so they might be interested. That some stranger would, they would agree to meet with me and talk about their business. And then when they came in to meet with me, and most of them, like when I started out, I was in my 20s and they were mostly in their 50s and 60s. And so you have someone who's 55 years old, they walk in, I'm 27, 28 years old, and I say, hey, I'm going to help you grow your business. And they're like, that's great. They're like, awesome. What do you know about business? You just started. So, overcoming, I have a lot of people I talk to this, hey, I'm a brand new realtor, so agents won't listen to me. If I call them and talk to them, they're not going to listen to me about, how to, coming over here to EXP, to grow their business because they sell a lot more houses than I do. So there are lots of excuses that we give ourselves as far as what will work and what won't work. And it's funny, I don't know if you guys ever listened to Alex Hermosi. And if you don't, check him out. He's a young guy, and started off in the gym industry, like getting gym memberships and all that kind of stuff. And I just posted this on Facebook, and I want to quote it exactly, share it with you guys what he said, because I thought it was really great. He said, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish when you give yourself no choice. And it's kind of like the concept of burn the ships, right? Cortez. So that same concept, if you're in a spot where you want to build a great life, your life may be great where it is now, but you have a future that you're trying to build. It's a retirement, it's a quality of life, it's something you want to do for others. Maybe it's a family. Like I have two daughters, I want to make sure they have opportunity to have a great lives ahead of them, and that kind of stuff. And whatever it is, you may be in a good place now, but you may have a vision of what it could be and where you could go. Maybe you're in a tough spot, right now, right? I had one year, I had more than 11 W-2s in one year because I worked 11 jobs to pay the bills. I always laugh. People are like, oh, minimum wage is too low. People, it's not a living wage. I'm like, it's never been a living wage, but a living wage is like, what's the life that you want to live? Pick your quality of life. It's, then go build it, right? Then go build it. I worked 11 different jobs. Now, not all simultaneously, but many simultaneously, obviously, in order to do 11, right? It wasn't like I didn't work and then quit and then work and then quit. This was like, I got up super early in the morning and I worked one job until the afternoon. And then when I was done that job in the afternoon, I worked another job throughout the afternoon and the evening. And then I left that job and went somewhere else. And I bartended till like 2 in the morning. And then I got up early in the morning and started my next job again. You do 3 at a time. The holidays come in, you work on holidays, you have weekend jobs. And I did that. I was newly married and trying to pay the bills. So you do what you have to do. So what does it have to do with agent attraction? Well, glad you asked. All right. So this is, you guys are in real estate. You're selling houses and you're probably trying to get your real estate business where you want it to be. And I know some of you on here have big, successful real estate sales businesses and everything else, and that's great. But the thing about real estate is, right, when you sell your last house, that's your last check that comes in. And so many of you have seen the math out there, right? As far as how much money do you have to have saved in the bank to have residual income, enough residual income coming in once you want to stop selling at some point, right? To continue to have the money you need to maintain your quality of life. And when you become a top producing agent, if you're not there yet, let me give you a glimpse of the future. Here's what happens when you build a big, successful real estate sales business. Okay. We spend all of our time, we trade our time for money, right? We put all of our time in to build money. And so you work long hours, you do whatever you got to do. You also, you give up your time. And then to a T, every single top producer that I've talked to has traded all of their time for money, and they've got to the point where they're making the money they want to make. And what do they want back? They want their time back, right? And then they go in reverse and they spend all of their money trying to get time, right? I have someone who cuts my grass. I don't mind cutting my grass, but I want my time back. So I'm willing to write a check for someone to do that. There are a lot of things that I hire people to do now that I'm perfectly capable. Hey, I worked a lot of jobs. I can do road construction. I can build houses. I can flip burgers. I can make you a drink. You name it. I've had all the jobs. I can do all the things, right? Some of them better than others. But now I want my time. Now I want my time. I've made money. Now I want my time back. Right. And so that's what happens. You build a big, successful business, and then you go, how do I get my time back? And that is the beauty of this model. That is the beauty of this model. While you are building your real estate sales business, right alongside, parallel to that, because they go hand in hand, make sure you're building relationships in the marketplace. Make sure you're building relationships with other agents and you're talking to other agents. Have that conversation with them. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that conversation in a second, but have that conversation with them and build that other opportunity. Build those other people around you. Bring them along with you on the journey, because when you're ready to get your time back, okay, when I sit down, and I've coached a lot of the top producing agents across the country, and they look and they go, well, I want my time back, but I'm not willing to give up the money. I worked this hard to build this income. How do I have more quality of life and more time left and more time back in my life without reducing my income? Because a lot of people they go and they build a team. Again, teams can be very profitable. Teams can be very successful, and you can do a lot with a great team. But many people also find when they build a team, they don't actually gain any time back. They actually lose time. Because now if you're still active in sales, now you're also active in leadership. You're active in management. You're active in, if you have an administrative team and everything else like that, now you're looking at time. You're got people that get paid by the hour potentially, or have tasks to do, and their kid gets sick and they can't show up, or they're not getting the job done right, and you're rehiring and all of those things. You've added that to your plate in addition to your sales. Okay. So you build this big business. Now you're trying to get your time. Now you're trying to get your time back. And so as you're building this other component by building revenue share, you have this additional source of income that's coming in. But the nice thing about this income, you've probably heard it said, I'm sure Tom and Marissa have said this to you guys, right? You list a house, you get paid once. You list an agent, you get paid for a lifetime, right? This is recurring revenue. And I don't really like to call it passive income because I don't like to think about it that way. Like all the people that we bring in, right? And I know the same thing. That's why Tom and Marissa are here. They're traveling all over the place, putting on, presentations and doing whatever, and they're still making the time to pour into their group because it's not really passive income, it's leveraged income. And that's what's really important. And so when you build that leveraged income, okay, now it becomes you don't have a management responsibility. You don't have oversight responsibility. You've actually leveraged out all of those responsibilities to EXP. You're building your own brokerage and you've hired EXP and leveraged out all of the management stuff, all of the billing and all of the training and all of the broker responsibilities and all of those things. You're able to just provide leadership, right? To the folks that you bring in. So you have this leveraged income that comes in. And if you do it right, at some point, that leveraged income, either it replaces the number you need to have to be able to slow down or retire from your real estate sales business. And for some, again, it's just like, hey, I'd like to get my time back. I'd like to be able to take a little bit of time off. I'd like to be able to go on vacation. I'd like to not work 90 hours a week. Some of those things were like, hey, I'd like to slow down some, or I'd like to maybe refer some out to the team and do whatever. And I can reduce the income in that trade-off because I have this other income coming in. It starts to create that freedom. And over time, it replaces that income. And this is one of the few businesses where so many people work basically up to the day they die. And I'll say, you don't want to be wheeled out, toes up from your last open house, right? That's a bad look. You want to be able to have the ability to work when you want to work, but you also want to be able to do the things that you want to do. And so revenue share provides that opportunity. And so for me, that's one of the things that I love about this model is that it creates a path for you to create freedom where you can have the money and the time. And that's really the importance of this opportunity and why you want to take advantage of it. So scaling, right? Scaling this opportunity, and how do you do it? Because, okay, some people go, hey, Dave, I'm convinced, right? I'm on this call because I've already bought into it, but how do I do it, right? How do we make it happen? I would love to have revenue share, right? And most people say, hey, if you had some leverage or passive income coming in, would you be okay with that? And, 9.9, maybe 10 out of 10 will say yes. Right. And then it's like, how do I go make it happen? So there's a couple things that do heavy lifting for you that leverage that opportunity. One of those is absolutely events. And I've been involved in real estate events. We know that the rate of we'll call it capture rate or whatever it is, right? The conversion rate for people attending events is over 80%. Okay. So when people attend events, if it's, obviously it's got to be a good event and it's got to be a good company. They got to be amongst people and that sort of thing. But you bring them into an EXP event where they go, wow, the people here are great. The people here are willing to share. That was great content. The energy was good. The culture was good and all of those things. Right. Then this is who I want to be. They're seeking. They're there because they're looking. And when I would talk to people, I made all those cold calls, right? I told you I made tens of thousands of calls. When I would make those calls and talk to people, I wasn't trying to convince anyone to meet with me. Okay. I was looking for the motivated. I was looking for people who, I want people who want what I have to offer. Right. And so if you have to push too hard or you have to try to convince them that they need this and that kind of stuff, now might not be time for them. And it's possible that just right now it's not the right fit for them. But there are people out there who are looking. And that's why I made so many calls. And when I would go through and I would call someone, I'd say, hey, hey, this is Dave Conord. Want to see if you want to get together and talk about your business. If they push back too far, I say, hey, listen, I don't want to I'm not trying to, don't talk to me. I don't want to try to force you into, I'm not trying to force you into a meeting or anything else like that. I really appreciate you picking up my call. I think that you're awesome. I hope we do some deals out there in the marketplace. If there's ever anything I can do for you, please let me know. And I hope to talk to you soon. And then I'd move on to the next call because I was looking for people who were looking for me. And it's amazing. Those people are out there. And so if you feel like, hey, I've tried talking to a bunch of people and they haven't said yes. Okay. 900 times out of 900, it's just because you're not talking to enough people. And so you just have to talk to more people and find the ones who are looking. But I promise you, there are people out there in your sphere of influence, in your marketplace, or around the country that where you can make contacts through different organizations and clubs and similar interests and all that kind of stuff in real estate. If you put it out there enough, I promise you, there are enough people out there that are looking for exactly what you have to offer. And it will be easy. That's the cool thing. When you find the right person, it's easy because they're like, oh, that sounds amazing. Tell me more. They start to lean forward on their chair, right? They're interested and it's not that difficult. Now, there are some people I really wanted to be in business with, and I kept in touch with them and kept sharing the opportunity, kept, seeing how I could add value to their business. And sometimes it took 5 years for them to ultimately say yes, because the timing was right. But guess what? When the timing was right, it wasn't difficult. And I wasn't pushing them. I wasn't giving them a hard time. I wasn't anything else. I was just building the relationship. But when the timing was right, it was easy. I had people show up and say, hey, Dave, I'm ready. Right. I'm like, oh my goodness. All right, cool. Let's go. But they were ready. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to, it wasn't a hard sell. So when the timing is right and the person is right, it's not a hard sell. It moves quickly. So all you can do is invite. So when there are events, what you want to do is, number one, you got to go to the events yourself. When events are happening, you need to go, you need to be there, because that is like, Zig Ziglar said, motivation is like showering, right? You got to do it every day. And so like, if we rely just on being motivated, the motivation is going to wane. And then it becomes hard to stay focused on it. So you need to do something on a regular basis that keeps you pumped up, that surrounds you with other people that are thinking bigger than what you're thinking. All right. So why do we follow gurus? We follow gurus because gurus are thinking at a level up here, and we want to tap into that and get some of that perspective that they have. And so you go to these events to hear different perspectives. You go to events to get your energy, and you walk out of there energized. You go, man, this was awesome. Right. So going to the events is super important. Plus, be a student. Don't go to an event and then sit out in the hall on your phone and doing whatever. Go to an event, sit in the chair, take notes, be an active listener. And then when someone resonates with you on stage, go seek them out afterwards. Tell them, man, I really loved what you had to say today. Can I get your contact information? That's the awesome thing about EXP, is like, we're all friends, we're all family. Doesn't matter what group or organization they're in or anything else. Doesn't matter if they're an executive or a top producing agent, or it doesn't matter. You go, they will, I promise you, they will be excited to talk to you. They'll be appreciative of your compliments, and they will give you their cell phone number. They'll tell you how to get a hold of them. And then you can learn from them more, because if that person's speaking my language, I want to hear from them more frequently, right? If I have a question, I want to hear their answer to that question, because the way that they approach things is kind of the way that I think, or that really the way they explain things really makes sense to me in a way that it hasn't before. Okay. So number one, you got to go to the events. Number two, when you go to the events and you have great return out of going to the events, then you're enthusiastic. If you go to a movie and the movie's not very good, you're probably not going to go tell people about it. But if you go to a movie and you loved it, what are you going to do? The next one of your friends you run into, and you're like, hey, have you seen this movie yet? Right. And you're not promoting it. The director, no one's writing you a check, right, for promoting the movie or anything else like that. You're excited about it. You're enthusiastic about it. And guess what? Everybody's looking for, hey, should I go see a movie or everything else? At some point, if I run into you and you're like, oh my gosh, have you seen this movie yet? I'm like, no, I've seen it out there, but I haven't seen it. And you're like, you have to go see it. That movie is amazing. Oh my gosh, it was the best 2 hours, the last couple of weeks. It was really incredible. That this was good and that was good, and I was crying at the end, and blah blah blah. You got to go to this, right? And you're like, man, that sounds really good. I got to go to this. Well, that's how you want to describe the events to the people you're trying to go. If you're like, hey, if you could spend $500 and spend 2 days sitting in a chair, would you do that? Right? Like, that's not how you convince someone to go to an event. Like, hey, we're doing this event. It's EXP. I really feel like you should go. It's going to be good. You have to bring the enthusiasm and the passion, that energy to it about what's so amazing about these events. But if you're not going to events yourself, right, then you can't convey something you haven't experienced. You got to pull that from within. So go to the events, get the experience, talk about it, maybe record it, maybe do a little post on it or something like that, being like, oh my gosh, I'm here. While you're in the heat of the moment, get some people around if you're nervous to do video, and do a group video together. Grab Tom and Marissa. They're awesome on video. They always do amazing videos. Get their crew and be like, hey guys, will you do a video with me? Grab me. If you're at an event where I'm there, I'm always happy to jump into videos. I'm a total ham on camera. So we'll have fun. Tons of people will be willing to do it. You could even just like walk up to a crowd of people and be like, hey, anybody a really high eye here and want to do a video with me because I'm really nervous about doing video? I guarantee you have a whole bunch of people be like, I'll do it. Come on. So do that and then put that out there. And then your friends will go, those events you go to look amazing. I hear this all the time, right? People that I know, and they're like, I have people getting into the real estate industry strictly to get into EXP and to be a part of what we have going on because of some of the things that I post. And people go, Dave, you always look happy. You always look like you're having fun. You always look like you're surrounded by great people. You're friends with the people that you work with. You get to go to cool places. You're making money. The events you get to go to look amazing. How do I get into those? I'm like, well, you got to be in real estate. And like, well, how do I get into real estate? And these are successful people in other industries. And they're like, they got FOMO, right? I call it the When Harry Met Sally effect. If you guys saw that movie, the I'll have what she's having scene, right? If you've seen the movie, you know the scene that I'm talking about. It's hilarious, which is the whole thing was ad-libbed and wasn't even part of the script, which is a funny story. But the bottom line is, like, you want people looking over and going, hey, that looks more fun than what I'm doing over here. I want some of that. Okay. And so use that. If you can't get anyone to come with you this time, then create FOMO for next time. So the next time they won't be there. Okay. So okay, go yourself, number one, invite people, let the event do the heavy lifting, because if they do say yes and they go, they're going to walk out of there pumped up and amazed. And they're going to go, I haven't felt this way. I haven't felt this kind of like positivity, right? There's been a lot of negativity out there. Business is hard right now. There's all the other crazy stuff going on. It's like, I haven't felt this good about the future in a long time. I need to be aligned with you guys. Okay. Let the event do the heavy lifting, get them to the event. Build is a great one, obviously coming up. Get them to these events, get them to see, what that is. If you can't get someone to go yourself, create some videos, create some other stuff like that, share your enthusiasm. So for the next event, hey guys, there's another one coming up. Who wants to go? You're going to get some hands raised, I promise.
Yeah.
And you keep doing that, more people are going to want to go.
I just wanted to interject just because yesterday we're here in in San Francisco, and one of our leaders actually had an event for his team specifically to address some things that are happening in the landscape of real estate. And I looked around the room and it was 2/3 his team and 1/3 people from other offices. And I came to him and I said, I thought this was supposed to be just for your team. He goes, yeah, but what we're doing now, people want to be around us because of the energy, because of the information, because we get together and we actually enjoy each other. We're not making this a requirement and they're getting so much out of it. Like I had a guy from another company come to me and he was talking about how everybody in the group, in that particular group, was so cohesive, collectively working together and helping each other that he didn't have that in his own brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
And along those same lines, I'm going to just call on Alan for a moment because he's doing an event and he's actually taking those lessons that we talked about as far as inviting people, and he's got some amazing lineup there. So Alan, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with the group, and I apologize, Dave, but it's a perfect opportunity for him to sort of talk a little bit about what he's putting on in the next month.
That's perfect.
I can't compete with Build, but what we're going to do, shared this on a previous call with probably this group or one like it. The people I'm talking to now who are reluctant or nervous about moving are throwing up the new rules, new changes, the new forms as their primary objection. So to answer that, we're going to do a presentation on August 22nd. Tom and Marissa have graced us by saying they'll come back. I'm trying to teach them how to eat Southern. But what we're going to do is we have Daniel Jones, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the North Carolina Regional Multiple Listing Service. It covers 49 out of 50 counties, and it happens to be our core MLS service. It's not the only one we subscribe to, but it's the primary one. Then we also, and he's going to talk about MLS rules, MLS changes. Will Martin was the lead attorney and general counsel for the North Carolina Association of Realtors for about 20 years. He led the development of most of the forms. He has the history of buyer agency as it sprang up in North Carolina. And I'm not sure where everybody is on this call is from as far as your state goes, but we've had buyer agency here for 20 years. So the change for us is not maybe as severe as it is for some of you. But Will's going to bring the legal perspective of the background. And then Tom and I are going to talk about, well, here's what EXP is doing. Here's our forms. Here's our philosophy. Here's how we're teaching our people. Here's how we're training them. So that's our format. And I'll hold myself accountable now, Marissa. We're going for twice the size of the last one.
That's incredible.
Nice.
The room was packed, you guys, and people wanted to stay to continue to get more information and to continue to actually be around our vibe. And so if any of you guys here, like the one great thing about Alan is he is all about rippling off and duplicating. And so if you wanted to put something similar together in your market, by all means, please reach out. Like this group is family. So we're more than happy.
Let me make sure I recognize the Caggiano brothers because we stole the idea from them. They did one, I'm not sure, somewhere up in the tri-state area. I see Chris is on here. We just got the idea from them. We just thought we'd take that and make it bigger.
Nice. Yes. See Chris and Craig on here.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely duplicatable. An area of the tri-state area did it, and now areas of North Carolina is doing it. So for Matthew, who's in Maine, we've got some Massachusetts folks, Alabama, SoCal. There's no reason why. The only reason why is I don't want to do it. It's a lot of work. But if you need help, we're here to help you.
Yeah, if there isn't an event near you, create one, right? And it doesn't have to be huge. Like, as a matter of fact, I recommend you start small. We've partnered up with mortgage company, title company. We call it Thrive. We call it the Trifecta Mastermind. And it's focused on helping realtors, but it's coming from the approach of the mortgage, title, and real estate business. And we started off really small, got a little spot, got it, some mortgage and title helped sponsor it. They got to be involved in helping drive the mastermind. And then we invited local agents, and you do a little panel, and they invite a few people, and hey, you got 10 people the first time. Awesome. You have 10 people and you're coming from contribution, you're helping them out. The next time you got 15 people, the next time you got 20 people, they invite a few people. The people you had on the panel and the people they invited come back, and and then the next panel or whatever, they come and they invite people, and pretty soon you got a group of people that don't want to miss it. And so you can start really small, and if you're coming from contribution, making stuff that people want to hear about, they get into a relationship with you when they're used to coming to you for the information, similar to what Marissa was just talking about with the meetings and everything else. I have to come here to get the information, I have to come here to get the positivity, I have to come here to get the, that positive mindset and the energy and everything else like that. Pretty soon, like, why am I not in business with you? I keep coming here for everything I need. Lisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one of the things that I have noticed, and it's almost like a backlash from right after COVID, is that we're having a hell of a time getting people to attend things, like anything. I mean, like Cape and Islands, we had a lobster roll too. I mean, there's just like, it's the weirdest thing. I mean, right after COVID, people were like, woo, let me go to anything. I'm just like, I got to get around people. But now, I mean, so we had done a number of things here on the Cape, and we did a couple, and they would have less and less attendance, and then everyone gets kind of discouraged. I mean, geez, we're all trying to live our lives and sell real estate and be grandparents and whatever the heck else we're doing, and somehow organizing this other thing was beginning to, be like very counterproductive, or we just didn't see a pathway there. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention, like, I do feel like there's this strange phenomenon, and I wish I would figure out how to break into that. I don't want to use it as an excuse, but it's part of our reality. And so what is working in places? I mean, we gave food and nobody ate it too. Like we went out of our way to have this like fabulous brunchy stuff, and then we all had all these muffins and yogurt. I mean, we didn't know what to do with it all afterwards. Anyway,
I think the fatigue goes in two. I mean, there was the you know, when no one could get together, everyone wanted to get together, right? And then so when things opened back up again, everybody started doing stuff, and it was like it became crazy. And I think everyone got so their calendars got so packed, now it's almost swung back the other way, where people are like, I got to start saying no to things, you know. And so you know, I do feel I've seen the same thing out there where people are less. Before you could throw anything on the calendar and they'd be like, yep, I'm in. I just want to be around people. Two things. One, are people are being a little bit more judicious with their time now because there were so many things on the calendar. Number two, you know, the market was also, when the market's super crazy and people feel like they're making tons of money and it's on a big upswing and everyone's super positive and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of fatigue in general in the industry right now. And you know, one of the things that I've learned being in the industry for 25 years and working directly with agents and trying to do events and trying to do the recruiting and everything else, is that, you know, the ups and downs of the market, right? The agents, we're very emotional people, I guess, is in general, you know, as a whole. Realtors tend to be ISs, you know, ID, SI, like they're in that range, but there's a lot of usually I in there somewhere. And that, there we go. Thanks. That drives, you know, that like, if you're driven by your emotion, right, then we're feeling everything. And so when things are going really well, we're all excited. We all want to be together. We all want whatever. When things are tougher, and it doesn't mean they're bad, it just means they're tougher, right? The bit you're like, I'm working with my buyer and it's taking us it's a lot harder to go get a deal. We put in a bunch of offers. We're seeing a lot of houses. I mean, even for your sellers, you know, it's everything is a little bit funky right now, a little bit different. And then you have the NAR stuff out there and everything else. And so people are a little bit down. They're a little bit, you know, more concerned. Maybe they're busier, but they're not making more money. You see that the market's still like, wow, things are still selling. The inventory is low, so things still sell really fast. So it feels like it should be a good market, but there's a higher percentage of people selling less right now. And so they're making less money. So they might be working harder and making less money. And when that happens, it doesn't feel good. And when we don't feel good as an industry, we tend to withdraw. Okay. I call it the deer in the headlights, because it's kind of the first thing we do during those kinds of shifts and changes in the marketplace is everyone just kind of stops. And you can see that fewer people change companies, you get fewer people, and a lot of people, when they stick their head in the sand, right, or they freeze, they don't sell, they sell less too. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's why I talk about the motivation and the enthusiasm and all that kind of stuff, because that's a big part of what helps people go be successful. When I ran bricks and mortar offices, right? So I ran a group, I was the CEO of a group, we had 42 bricks and mortar offices, we had 7,000 agents. And like for the while when the market was down, it was a ghost town, right? And we were like, all right, the way we're going to sell more and make more money as a business and help our people and grow and all that kind of stuff like that is we got to get people involved. We got to get them engaged, so emotionally they feel good. Because when they felt good emotionally, they made more calls, they talked to more clients, they were more enthusiastic about their business, and they sold more houses as a result. The market didn't change, they changed, right? And that was the key. And so we have to get people into that energy, which is another reason why getting them to the events one way or another, or getting them to something, and even if it's just let me have coffee with you, right? And you might have to do like hand-to-hand combat for a while. Pick some good people. Like, hey, I've been trying to get you to these events, and this would be amazing for your business. And like, you know, you must be, something must be going on. Tell you what, let me buy you coffee. Can we get together? I want to talk about you and your business, right? And this is not an EXP call. I won't even mention EXP. Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the gap analysis, right? But there's a thing you can do, and Marissa, I can send this to you. You can share it. But it's like a stick figure person, and there's 4 boxes, and so you talk about their future self. Okay, you say, all right, listen, if 5 years from now, pick a time frame, but 5 years is usually typical. If 5 years from now you and I were to sit down, and I was to ask you how things were going in these categories, and in each one you responded, oh my gosh, Dave, it is better than I ever could have imagined it's going to be. It has been incredible. I never thought I would be here in my life in this area. It is absolutely amazing. What would that look like? Describe that to me. And I want to do it in your health, in your family or your relationships, and in your finances, and in your business. Those are your 4 categories. Okay. Now let's do 4 boxes. So one, I do a little stick figure and there's like a box by their hand, a box by the other hand, a box by a foot, box by their foot, right? And a little head right there. And I'm like, in order to do the smile on this face right here, that you have the best possible life in all of your winning in all 4 categories, what does that look like? And I want to get, specificity. I want to get some specifics on exactly what does it look like, right? What, how, like, oh, I got money in the bank. Great. How much money do you have in the bank? I'm making this much. How much specifically? Like, what's this? What is it? You have stuff invested? Like, where I want to know if your finances are the best your finances have ever been, better than you thought they could ever be in 5 years from now. What does that look like? If your business is great, if your family is good, your health is good, what exactly does that mean? Right? I want you to picture yourself, your life being like that in each one of these categories. And we're going to describe it right here in these boxes. Okay. And then there's another page where you say, great. So where are you right now in this category? Right? So you're here right now. You want to get here. This is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. What's it going to take to get right? I mean, if 5 years from now, when we're talking, do you want to be able to tell me that you're having your best life possible, or you want to tell me that it still sucks? Right? Like, which one do you want? If you want to tell me it's the best possible, are you okay with mediocre? Like, it's better. It's okay. I'm fine with it. Is that what you want to tell me in 5 years, or you want to tell me it's the best ever? Well, if you want to tell me it's the best ever, what does it take to get there? And here's the reason why I'm asking you. I want to help you get there. That's what I do. That's my life's mission. My life's mission is to help people achieve their goals and get where they want to go. I feel like that's why God put me on this earth. Help people go build great lives, right? My personal group is called FIRE, F-Y-R, called Fund Your Reason, right? And everything we're about is helping people like figure out what your reason is, your big why or whatever you want to call it, and go fund it. And I know that Tom and Marissa have talked about that same goal, right? Agents get free, right? It's that whole concept of building freedom, building great lives that we're driven. That's why, we immediately hit it off when we first met, was like, man, we're on the same mission together. This is so fun. And so, when you're talking to people, they're like, well, why are we talking about this? And you're like, because this is what sets my soul on fire. Selling real estate helps me help other people achieve their goals. It's one of the things that drew me to this industry in the first place, because selling real estate is all about serving others and helping them build great lives, achieve their dreams, and achieve successes. There's nothing like that's a bigger rush than when you like get someone like out of a jam, or you get them in the right house, you find that new buyer, first time buyer, buy their first house, or whatever it is. You help people accomplish what even if they're in a tough spot, but you help them get out of the tough spot by getting the right transaction, right? And I serve them and everything else, and it felt really good. So that's what I like to do. Real estate is one of the ways that that's expressed. But it's not just for buyers and sellers. I want to help other agents in the industry achieve that too. So that's why I'm talking to you about this, right? So let's go through this. Where do you want to go, right? You go through that gap analysis and define how they're going to get there, right? And then they're like, okay, great. Let's work on that path. How can I help you on that path? So that's, having those kinds of conversations. If you're doing it one-on-one and they start to go, like, people just are focused where they are. And Lisa, this is to your point about like when people don't show up for things, they don't have hope, right? And creating hope for them changes their world. Creating hope. Once they feel like they have hope, they show up. People don't show up because they don't have hope. They go, if I go to that, it's just going to cost me money. It's going to take a bunch of time out of my life, and I don't really have any time, and I don't really have any money. I don't really have any energy. I don't really want to go to these. It's all the negativity. It's all the excuses, all the whatever. Why? Because they don't think it's going to be life-changing. They don't think it's going to create a positive impact. I've tried. I've gone to some of these things. It didn't really help me, because they don't have a path. Once you have hope, you can run in any direction, right? But when you don't have hope, you don't run in any direction, because you're like, nothing's going to work. So sometimes you got to do it hand-to-hand combat. Find some good people and then show them, and you put them on fire. And if you get the right influential people, when they start getting on fire and they start moving forward, they bring people with them. They start emitting energy out around them, and more people follow. People go, wow, like, I don't know what's different, but you're glowing, right? There's something different about you. You're like, yeah, I'm happy again. I have hope, right? And then they do that, and then you'll start to get people coming to events. So find some people who you feel could be influential, that you could help, you can have those kind of conversations with, and build your tribe around you through having those conversations. And Marissa mentioned three-way calls. Don't try to do all the heavy lifting yourself in a lot of these things as well, because I can tell you, I feel like, like I said, I've done a lot of cold calls. I have had thousands and thousands. I have had more than 8,000 one-on-one recruiting appointments live, face-to-face with agents. Okay. So and most of them, they came to me. They came to my office. Some were over coffee and some were whatever. Sometimes I went to them. My best is when I would go to the brokerage of a top producing agent. I would go to their Century 21 office and sit down in their conference room and recruit them to my company. But most of them, I got them to come to me. Okay. And it's really funny when the manager walks by the little window that you can see into the thing, and they look at me and they know who I am, and they know that I'm sitting with their top agent in their office. But I digress. Typically, they're coming to me. This was face to face. We sat down, we had notebooks out, we looked at their business, we did all that stuff, and I spoke with them and did the whatever. So I know how to recruit. I know how to have the conversation. I still need to have that third party endorsement. I still need to bring someone else in because I'm too close, right? I'm seen as someone who has something to gain, right? As soon as you go, if I'm giving you something and I'm like, hey, I would like you to have this iPhone. And they're like, all right, what's the catch, right? If there's really no catch, and I'm like, I just want to give you this iPhone. I have this iPhone. I don't need it. It's brand new. It's in the box. I would like you to have it, right? And I get nothing out of it. Eventually, I have to convince them, but eventually they go, there's really no catch. All right, thank you. I appreciate that, right? But as soon as I go, all right, and if you take this iPhone, then every time you make a call, I make 3 cents. And they're like, right? Now they're looking at now they're thinking like, I don't know if I want your iPhone or whatever. You're going to make money for me, right? So as soon as you start, if you talk about revenue share or anything else like that, like, we want you to come over, and they know that there's revenue share. Even if I'm really good at everything else, there's something in the back of their mind that says I'm trying to get something from them, right? It doesn't matter. We're too close, or they're a good friend of mine. And so they're like, yeah, I don't know. But I connect them with, with someone like a Tom Marissa. I connect them with a Gene Frederick. I connect them with someone else, anyone, or just someone else in our group. Doesn't have to be a top person. It just has to be someone I feel can speak their language, and get them on the phone who has nothing to gain out of this. Right? Which is a lot of times why I like to have people that aren't in my organization have a call with them, right? Or someone who's in my organization, but not above me, who will not benefit from them coming over, who can talk about what's it like to be in this group? What's it like to be in EXP? How's it been for my business? Right? And they can be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you, seriously, this has been amazing. Like, Dave and I aren't connected any other way, shape, or form other than like we support each other and growing our businesses and that kind of stuff. But being here has been whatever it is, but having that conversation, it comes across differently from someone who, doesn't have anything to gain, or just isn't as close to that person, or just having that secondary. So sometimes, again, if I go, oh, have you seen this movie? It's the best movie ever. You have to see this movie, blah, 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 all that other kind of stuff. And then you turn to the person you're with and you're like, wasn't it good? Because they might go, well, you think it's good, but I don't know what your taste in movies is. Right? I didn't like Steel Magnolias. So, pick a movie. You're like, I don't know what your taste in movies is. You're telling me it's really great. That's awesome. I'm really glad that you saw a movie that you thought was awesome. That may not compel me to go see the movie. But then the person next to you is like, oh man, it was so good. Like, yeah, you were crying at the end. I was laughing in the middle. Like, it was crazy. This really was a great movie. And they're like, man, both of you thought that was awesome. Now I might need to go check it out. Okay, so it's there's that numbers when they hear from more than one person, and they go, okay, maybe I need to check this out. And sometimes it takes a couple of people. Would you like to speak with anyone else about this? What are you interested in? When I'm figuring out what's important to you, and you go, well, I really want to work with this, and I'm really interested in this. Someone says they're really interested in the stocks. I'm like, awesome. Let me get you someone who can talk about the impact of the stocks on their life. And how that's helped them and how they built it. They've hit icon, they've done X, Y, and Z, where the stock is gone. They were able to pay off their parents' house. They were able to retire their spouse. They were able to pay off their debt, buy a new car, get their vacation home. They bought 6 Airbnbs from the money from the stock. Like, whatever. Great. Let me go find someone who knows about the stock or has a success story to talk about that. If they want to talk about, lead generation stuff at the company, let me go find someone who's using the EXP tools and get them to talk to you about those things. right? And they can tell that story. So you don't have, if you're a new agent or you're doing, fewer sales right now, you're focused on other things, or maybe you utilize something, some other things, and you're like, I don't know all the EXP tools. That's fine. You don't need to know all the stuff. You just need to know people who know those things. And then you get those connections, and it's super powerful. So really, really important to do it. And conversely, by the way, be that person for someone else. Okay. Let the people in your group know, hey, if you're talking to anyone, like, I came from this, like, I spent a whole lot of years at Keller Williams. I owned franchises. I was on the executive team and all that other kind of stuff like that. You have somebody who wants to talk about Keller Williams. I can talk fluently about the differences between Keller Williams and what the opportunity is. Right. So if you came from Century 21 or Remax or, what have you, then great. Let people know, hey guys, I came from this company. This was my experience. I loved it there. I didn't think I would leave, but when I saw that EXP had this, I mean, share your stories within your group so people have a menu, right? So I can flip through and be like, all right, here are the people in the group who are willing to be on a three-way call, regardless of who it is. Anyone in the group, we're all family, we'll all help each other out. Here's a menu of the people in the group, and here's their little bio, as it pertains to this kind of stuff. And then I can flip through, and then boom, I can hit them up. I can go, hey, Eric, I saw X, Y, and Z in your story, right? And I've got someone I'm talking to who's over at that company now, and they're kind of having a similar thing to what you had talked about. Would you be willing to jump on a call? And I know Eric will be like 100% be like, yep, I'm in. And Eric jumps on a call for me. And I'm like, awesome, right? So that's the kind of stuff. So be that person for other people, and then bring those other people in. And don't feel like you have to do it all. Don't feel like you have to know it all. Don't carry it all on your shoulders. And to be honest, the power is not in, being the person that helps your organization, your people with everything. The power is in the collective. The power is in the whole group. The power is in all of EXP. It's in all of the group. It's in all of the different opportunities that are here, and plugging people in to everything that they get access to and showing them. That's one of the best things that I love to show people. I'm like, hey, like, I really care about you and I want to help you be successful. But if you're like, you don't come here and rely only on me. Come here because, like, do you guys remember those old Verizon commercials where the guy would show up, the can you hear me now? Good. Right. And then and then in some of the commercials, as they went down the road and, got farther along, he would have he would show up, and it wasn't just that guy. It was like him, and it was the linesman. It was the customer service people, it was whatever. He had this army of people behind him. When he showed up, he's like, hey, when you get us, you get us. You get all of us. We're all here to help you make sure you have a great phone call, right? So that's what you want to do here, is be like, man, when you come here, you know what I am? I'm a connector. I am your path in. I'm your conduit to get to all of this, all these people, all these resources, all this opportunity, all this training, all these tools. I can't possibly know it all, do it all, do whatever, but I'm your connector. You come in through me, and bam, you get access to everything.
The other thing too, along those same lines, Dave, I just wanted to mention, when you get called on to be part of a three-way call for somebody else, you re-recruit yourself. So it's in your best interest to actually raise your hand and say, I'm available to help you. Because when you talk to a brand new person that's thinking about joining EXP or joining our organizations, remember that you had made that decision. You went over that edge. When you talk about going over that edge, you reaffirm your own decision as well. So this is kind of specifically to Matt, because I know you're newer within the organization. He just came on board. It's fresh in his mind that yes, he would be an ideal person for you guys to call on to help. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like calling on you right now.
But that's the thing, right? Because, when you've been here for a while, then you're kind of entrenched. But if you just made the decision, I mean, let's face it, it's a big decision. It's a big move. If you're a brand new agent, it's a big move to choose who, like, I'm going out there as an independent contractor, as a business owner, to start a business. Who am I going to align my business with to be successful? You talk to new agents, they're nervous. I'm trying to figure out which is the right company to go with. Who's going to train me? Am I going to have a mentor? Am I going to have whatever? Am I going to spend all this money and flop? I hear there's a huge failure rate, right? If you're a producing agent, you are, you're entrenched with this other business partner and you're severing those ties and you're moving your business over to a whole new operation platform. It's like going from Android to iPhone, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to like it? And is it going to operate the same? Is it going to whatever? What's it going to feel like? You know, and am I going to lose all my friends over here? And I'm not going to know anyone over here. It's like changing schools, and you walk in the first day and teacher stands you up at the front of the classroom and everyone thinks you're weird. You're the new kid, right? So like, what's it going to be like? And you've gone through it. So if you've gone through and you've made that transition, there's so much safety for other people who are considering that move, because you're a survivor. You made it through the transition alive. Like, how was it? And you're like, let me tell you, like, I remember it was just a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I was having all the same questions you were having. I had all the same concerns you were having. And ultimately, and this is the way I describe it, I have dogs, right? And I have some property, and then we have end of our property, and then we have a big field behind us, and we have an electric fence. And we have a lot of deer and fox and everything else that walk up there. And my dogs, our deck is up like 14 feet off the ground. We have some stairs that go down, and then they go out into the field. And they're standing up on the deck, and they see all the animals out in the field, and they bark their heads off, and they sprint across the deck, down the stairs, across the yard. And I'm like, oh man, here they go, all the way across. And then right at the electric fence, they stop. And then they keep barking, and they kind of hop around, but they don't run across because the electric fence, they want to go run with the deer or eat them or whatever they want to do. But they stop because of the electric fence. But every once in a while, especially our chocolate lab that we used to have, she would run down there, and as she would get close to the electric fence line, I would watch her, and her ears would tuck back. and she would go right through the electric fence line, a little momentary, right? And then she was free, baby, freedom. She was out after those deer, and then over the field into the woods. And then I'd have to go chase her, middle of winter in my flip-flops, right? But it was every once in a while, she would decide that what was on the other side of that momentary pain was worth it, right? So I don't know. I would love to know what was in her brain, because, 7 times out of 10, she stopped at the electric fence, but 3 times out of 10, she decided it was worth it. What was it that she saw that said, I know this is going to hurt, but it's only going to be for a second, and then there's freedom on the other side of this, right? And so if you just went through this, like Matt, you're saying you just went through a transition, and you went, I know that changing companies is going to be momentarily, a disruption in my life. A little bit of pain, a little bit of learning and change and all the other kind of stuff. But you saw something on the other side that made that worth it for you. And to be able to help people, because a lot of people, with the electric fence line, like, they don't see what's on the other side. They see a wall. And you need to tear down that wall and let them see on the other side of the wall what you saw. And when they see that, you're like, this is why it was worth it for me. I saw this. And so far, since I've made the change, you know what? That little, momentary zap to the neck wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And everything on this side is even better than I hoped it was going to be. Right. And you can give them a little bit of peace and a little bit of calm and a little bit of excitement and everything else. You're like, really? And you're like, yeah, I can help. Hey, I'll help you. Look, let me tell you, when I made my change, this is what I had to do. This is what I would do differently next time. I would prepare these signs in advance. I would do X, Y, and Z. I would have these things done. I did this. I didn't really need to do that. I was really worried about these things, but none of those things happened. Like, all of this was good. I found out, X, Y, and Z was good and everything else like that. This person was really beneficial to me. So I would recommend connecting with them. They'll help you out. Yada, yada, yada. And they go, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. You're like, yeah, if you have questions along the way, just hit me up, and I'm happy to help you out. And they go, okay, great. Now you've, allayed their fears, and, and you've got them excited about what's on the other side. And you're like, hey, and by the way, like, my biggest fear is that I would go through all this and get over here and be like, oh man, it's not as good as I thought. It wasn't really, it was the bait and switch. It was whatever. But when I got here, it was actually better. I've learned like a whole bunch of things I didn't know about that I've learned about now that I'm here. And it's even better than I hoped it would be. And they're like, man, that's awesome. Right. Those kinds of stories are super helpful for people that are standing at the edge of the electric fence line, and they're too afraid.
That's a great analogy. We only have a couple more minutes. Does anybody have specific questions they'd like to ask Dave before we wrap it up? Anybody? You covered so much, Dave. This has been incredibly helpful.
This is my favorite topic.
Amazing.
Guys, if you're anywhere, well, first of all, if you're anywhere near any build, go to the build. Go to the build events. They're out there. They're all over the country. There's only one happening between Charlotte, North Carolina, right? And Maine. That's it, right? I see people in Maine. I see people in the Carolinas and everything else. We got everywhere in between. You can see right here. So this one, the Build 24 Northeast is happening August 1st and 2nd. That is a Thursday and Friday. It's designed for minimal disruption and cost for you. Okay, we've negotiated with the hotel. We're at this incredible resort. We're at Crystal Springs Resort up in northern New Jersey. So it's smack dab in the middle of this whole entire Northeast region. The hotel, we have all king suites. They're normally like $700-800 a night. We've negotiated a 50% discount on the rooms. And the event is in the afternoon on August 1st and in the morning of August 2nd. So you can literally drive up or fly in the morning, go to the event, spend the night at the hotel, like do mastermind and hang out and all that other kind of stuff. Place is gorgeous. You hang out, do whatever, get up in the morning, we provide breakfast, and then go to the morning event, wrap up at like around 1 o'clock. And then you can get back on a plane or get back in your car and drive home. And that's it. 2 days, start to finish, 48 hours, you're done. Now, if you're like us, you may decide to tack a little extra time because guess what? There's that room rate. You can actually still get that room rate and extend up to 3 nights on either end of the event. Bring your family, do whatever, or just go relax and chill out at the resort, do some masterminding, do some other stuff, hang out, do some networking, get to know everyone. It's only $199. Okay, and that does include a networking event with hors d'oeuvres and cocktails and stuff like that on the first evening, and it includes a continental breakfast in the second morning. So most of your food's taken care of. You can grab some dinner. The resort has awesome restaurants to grab dinner. If you would like to sit with the executives that will be there and the key speakers and all that other kind of stuff, and have an incredible dinner that's all included, you can get the VIP ticket for $499. You will sit right up front. You'll have special check-in and special entrance into the room and seating and all that kind of stuff. And you'll hang out with the top keynote speakers. We'll have people like Tristan Ahumada is going to be there speaking, and he'll be there chilling and hanging with you. We have James Truong, right? The founding president of Commercial is going to be there with us. Tom and Marissa and I will be there. My wife, Kristen, will be there. We have a bunch of alphas and a bunch of other top influencers that are there. Travis Steffens, if you've seen The Breath Source, talking about, really focusing and creating your energy to succeed in your business, will be there speaking to us both days. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of incredible networking. And for a referral source, agents from all over the entire East Coast of the country converging in there, passing out your cards and getting to know people and all that kind of stuff is really a really great opportunity. Get to events, invite people to events, right? Build relationships with the other people in your organization, the other people in EXP. You want to be there.
Awesome. Absolutely. We will be there. We will be arms open for you guys. So you bring guests, we will make sure that we take really good care of them.
Yeah, 100%. Bring them up. We'll make sure we'll talk to them. We'll get them introduced to everybody. We'll make sure they meet all the key people there and all that kind of stuff. We'll make them feel special. So yeah, for sure. Build24northeast.com to go register.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Dave. We really appreciate your time. This has been an incredible hour. For those of you guys that are still interested in more, remember there's on this particular live, there's an EXP Explain that's happening in 2 hours. Bring your guest to it. Tom, I believe there's Tom, Alan, are you on this call as well? Yep, Tom, Alan, and Dick will be presenting. Amazing perspective. Rod, I know you would ask me earlier. Yes, it is still on. So by all means, invite your guests to show up.
Marissa, 1 hour, not 2 hours.
Oh, sorry, I'm on West. I'm a little, West Coast. It's 1 hour.
Time zones. Marissa, thanks for having me, guys. It's really good hanging out with you. I'm here. If you ever have any questions, please hit me up. You can find me in Workplace or on social media, and happy to answer any questions or just to chew on.
We appreciate you, Dave. Thanks again.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Have a great day, everybody.